Good morning class. I am an economics teacher and we are dealing with the chapter secondary sector. In that we are seeing the classification of industries. How are the industries classified? Till now we have covered the classification of industries on the basis of size, on the basis of raw materials, and the third and the last classification is on the basis of ownership. This is our topic of the day, the classification of industries on the basis of ownership. The first point. The second topic that we are going to cover today is features of present industrial structure in India. How are the industries categorized? What are their ratings? How are they subdivided? That we are going to see. It's on page number 95. Page number 95. Classification of industries on the basis of ownership. It is subcategorized into public sector, private sector, joint ownership, and cooperative sector. There are some categories of this. Public sector or public entrepreneurship is basically an industry which is owned, managed, and run by the government agencies. The main aim of such an industry is to do social welfare. It aims at doing the social welfare along with a marginal profit. The profit is not that important over here, but what is important to serve the need of the society. The second is private ventures or private ownership. The private ownerships are one which are owned, run and managed by the private individuals or group of individuals who come together, who are wealthy people who come together and set up their industries. For example, Wipro, Tata, Reliance, all these are owned by the individual owners or the private owners. Their main aim or main task is to generate maximum amount of profit. The third is a joint ownership. Joint ownership means that there will be some percentage of stake of the government and some percentage stake of the private owners. It is a mutual agreement between both the government and the private venture when they come up for doing the work not to satisfy a particular need of a society. Like for example, Indian railway system is believed to be the 100% owned by the government agencies. But now some part have been transferred to the private ownership. Private owners even. The Coal India Limited, some part have been sold out to the private owners. Means there is a maximum stake of government is there and some part of it or some stake of the private owners are also there. The fourth is the cooperative societies. Cooperative societies are basically those societies who come up from a particular group of people, who come up from a particular group of society, come up with their own needs, who fulfill the raw materials, who provide the raw materials, who generate the raw materials, and who prepare the product. They are mutually in one consent to produce, to manufacture some product and sell it out in the nearby market. The last is MNC, that is multinational companies. Multinational companies. Multinational companies are those companies which have their home branch in their own country and they have their subsidiary branches in other parts of the country. It is between country to country, one country to other. Like for example, Lenovo or Vivo. The Vivo has its home country in China, but they are operating in India. They are operating in India. So India, wherever the market they have, wherever there is settled market we have, that is a subsidiary part. But the home branch or the home country would be where the office or the administration would be looking at is the China. So China are operating through the business through the mode of MNCs, that is multinational companies, multinational corporations. This was about the division of classification of industry on the basis of ownership. The second topic is what are the features of present industrial structure. It's on page number 96. Features of present industrial structure in India. How are the industries categorized? What are their divisions? The first is the coexistence of large and small industries. In India, you can find both type of industries, large industry and small industry. Both of them together aim for the collective aim of the both the industries are to uplift the name of the country and to fulfill its all the demand that the particular section of the society demands and to take the India at a higher level or represent it at the global level and as such to increase the name and fame of the country, which is possible whenever the country grows or economic growth of the country improves. The GDP of the country improves. The employment structure of the country improves. For this, the motto of large and small scale industries are to generate every sort of wealth which could help the government, which could help the running population to lead a better standard of life. The second is regional disparities. See, there is a regional disparity. Disparity is basically differences. There are two classes of society in our country: the have and have-nots, the poor and the rich. So, just to reduce the gap, it is very necessary to set up the industries and create more and more of employment opportunities. See, the Indian structure of business or Indian structure of industry is as such settled that all the important industries are settled in the metro cities of the country only. The metro cities are controlled, owned, or they are managing the main industries of the country. But what about the remote areas? They are not having any industry, they are not having any sort of employment opportunity over here. So just to reduce the gap between such gap between the haves and have-nots, or the poor and the rich, it is very necessary to decrease the regional disparities between the states which are blessed with all industries and the state which is not blessed with such an industry. Means all the industries should look for creating more and more of employment opportunities. They should set up more of industries in the remote areas and create more of employment opportunities. The third is diversification of industries. Diversification is basically related to expansion. A country can only flourish, a country can only grow when there is a continuous expansion of industries, when there is a continuation of growth in the industrial sector. That is required and that is the need of the time, because if a country wishes to grow, the industries play a very pivotal role, industries play a very important role in the growth of the country. The fourth is coexistence of private, public and joint sector. It is not a one-hand operation, but a mutual understanding of private ventures, public ventures and a joint co-ownership of both. Means if the country wishes to flourish, if it wishes to grow, mutual agreement, a mutual settlement among all is required. That is the government agencies, the private agencies and a mutual of both, that is joint ownership. Now, the last is level of industrialization in India. How are the industries settled and what are their levels? How are they rated? What are their criteria? See, there are three criteria basically. One which was established from the British time and it is still prevalent in India now, that is rated under Group A. Group B, one is the one who is getting ready or one who is about to start or have just begun their industrial work, is rated in Group B, and Group C are those which are actually very backward, which are planning to come up to a market structure, but they have still not started the work. I'll mention the name of the countries which are grouped under, like Group A countries: Maharashtra, West Bengal, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. These are industrially developed states. Means from the British time all the industries have been established, have been set up over here, and till now they are managing. Whereas in Group B, Punjab, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Delhi and Kolkata, these are the states which are coming up with industries. They are putting up their own best possible effort to match up their standard with the Group A level. So that is, these states are still in process of industrialization. They are not an industry still now, but they are in the process of industrialization. The last is industrially backward state, that is Group C. That is Assam, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Odisha, Nagaland, Sikkim, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh. These are the states which have a high population, which are in high need of, high demand of such industries, but they have no as such plan, they have no as such route map how to set up an industry and how to create an employment opportunities for the available populations. So they are at the last stage and they are backward stage, and that is why they were named as Bimaru states. Bimaru states. Bimaru is Bimaru states means backward in industrialization process. They are basically backward in industrialization process. Like Bimaru stands for, B stands for Bihar, BI stands for Bihar, M stands for Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, UP and Uttarakhand. So these were actually named by the industrial sectors. They were called as Bimaru states. Means those states which are not come up yet with the industries now, but they have a plan to, but they are not ready with the real outfit, how to draw a conclusion, how to come up with the industries. So they are the least developed one, or they are industrially very backward states. So this was about the features of industrial structure in India. Tomorrow we'll see the causes of regional disparities in industries. What are the causes? What are the basic reasons of regional disparities? Why are regional disparities increasing and why the gap is not able to be fulfilled? Thank you, class.